Hello, everybody, and welcome back to Taking You with Mike and JD. It is just me, JD, to start this video off since Green Bay was on a bye last week. Only the Steelers played, so I was just going to do a recap with my thoughts and stuff, and then Mike will join me a little bit later to make our picks for this coming week. So, it was a really frustrating game as far as a Steelers fan was concerned. They come in without Lamar Jackson, you feel pretty good, and then all of a sudden in the first series, Kenny Pickett gets slammed to the ground, no penalty, which people could argue he's a runner at that point, but still, the NFL is trying to protect quarterbacks, especially a young quarterback that's been progressing and one of your most famous and popular franchises in the Steelers. You think you'd want to protect him, but either way, Kenny Pickett seemed like he was fine. He came back in. Obviously, some sort of concussion issue happened where he couldn't continue to play, so you had Mitch Trubisky coming off the bench, and for a second, you thought everything was going fine. Trubisky was moving the ball. He was slinging it around. And then all of a sudden, an interception. Okay, well, it sucks. It was in the red zone. Let's do this again. Moves the ball. Looks good. Looks good. Interception again. And then, to start another drive, he throws a deep, terrible thrown ball. Guy interception in the end zone, or at least carries it in the end zone, which unfortunately wasn't a touchback for us, but either way, it was such a frustrating game that the Steelers should have won, especially they don't have Lamar Jackson. Tyler Huntley gets knocked out. They have a rookie coming in Brown who's never played, and all they do, he doesn't even have to try. The Ravens just have to run the ball. Everybody in the building knew they were running. The Steelers should have known they were running. The Ravens know they were running, and the Steelers just couldn't stop them. So that was their chance to get back into the playoff picture at that point. They blew it. So now they're sitting at 5-8, and playoffs are probably, I know they're not technically mathematically eliminated, but you have the Patriots still winning. Even though the Jets are losing, they still beat the Steelers early in the year, so they hold the tiebreaker. The Browns also hold the tiebreaker. So it's looking less likely like the Steelers will hit the playoffs. Now it's really at this point where they're going to pick in the draft. So if Trubisky cleans up and plays somewhat better, even throws those balls away, the Steelers probably win because of Chris Boswell probably hits, obviously 3 of those 4 field goals. His first field goal of the day gets blocked, but still, I don't think all 3 of the interception drives, they were all field goal drives. Had they stopped him, we would have kicked a field goal. I don't think he would have missed or gotten all 3 of those blocks. So they ended up losing by just 2 points. So it was a little too late. The Steelers defense just could not. There was just no push up front. It really seemed like when a Steelers player would get contacted by a Ravens player, it was almost like they thought that they were then out of the play. Like there was these replays where they're getting they're getting blocked, but the runner's right there, and they're not even putting their arms up. They're sort of just being taken with the block. It just seemed like there was no energy or enthusiasm or drive to play that game. It was a very bizarre game as far as on the defense side. When Huntley was in and they were passing the ball more, he wasn't really rushed. There was no pass rush. I don't know if TJ Watt's still hurt, but even with Alex Highsmith and having, close to 10 sacks this year, and TJ, obviously he was out for weeks, it just feels like a wasted year right now. You're wasting a year of Minkah and TJ in their prime. Hayward's not getting any younger, even though he's continued to honestly get better every year, even now into his 30s, but what I want to see this week is, I don't think Pickett's going to play. I think he's out. Trubisky come in and not make those mistakes. If they don't make those mistakes, they probably win. I mean, the Panthers aren't really good, but, what am I saying? The Steelers aren't really good. I'm still in my mindset that, since I've been alive, the Steelers, I think, have only had 3 losing seasons. So to me, they're winners. So even when they're a bad team this year, it still doesn't feel like it because for 28, 30 years, they win football games. So it was just left a bad taste in your mouth. It wasn't like a hard-fought loss. It really felt like they had thrown in the towel. And it really felt like Trubisky, I don't know if he just felt like smug or his ego took over because he was making these really good passes that he tried to fit them in. I mean, 2 of those interceptions, in the red zone in the middle of the field, there were 3 Ravens standing there. I don't know who would have thrown that ball but him, so it's disappointing, but I just want to see Trubisky play better, I guess, this week, because he will still be our backup next year because we have him under a 2-year deal. And I want to continue to see Pickens develop, and then our younger guys like Leal on the defensive side play better than he did last week, and I want to see TJ actually get a sack this week. So other than that, the season's basically over. At this point, the Steelers will probably pick somewhere between 10 and 15, which they still should get a very good pick. They also have the Bears second-round pick, which is really good because it's the actual Bears one. The Bears had owned 2 second-round picks, theirs and the Ravens. Now, the Ravens will end up being later in the second round, but however, when we traded Chase Claypool, we got their pick. And right now, they're picking second overall, which means they're picking second in the second round, which is the 34th pick. So the Steelers will end up getting basically 2 first-round picks. Two top 34 picks, which if they want to move up again, they could package both their second-round picks and move up back into the first round if they see. So they do have a lot of assets moving forward to try to put a team together for Kenny Pickett, to try to put a defense back together before Watt ages out, before Minka ages out here. So I think next year should hopefully be better. I think it's growing pains. You're without your Hall of Fame quarterback for the first time in 18 years. I expected the season not to go that well, but it goes week to week, especially this week where they just kind of got manhandled on the defensive side and just made dumb mistakes on the offensive side. So that's kind of all I have to say about this week. If you stay tuned here, Mike will be joining me, and we'll be doing our picks for week. All right, welcome back to Take a Knee with Mike and JD. I'm JD.
And I'm Mike.
And today we're going to be doing our picks for Week 15 of the 2022 NFL season. Just to recap, we had a rough week last week. Mike went 7-6, and I went 8-5. The only game we picked different was Baltimore at Pittsburgh, and I picked Baltimore correctly. So I have a 1-game lead on the season standings at 112, 76-2, and Mike is at 111, 77-2. So to get it started, our Thursday night game this week is San Francisco at Seattle. How do you have that one going?
Yeah, I'm going San Francisco. I think they'll be too good for Seattle.
I think this should be a pretty good game. It's one of the rare good Thursday night games. But San Francisco is just on a roll. Even if they have Purdy still, their defense is really good. So I'm going to stick with San Fran. But I think it'll be less than a touchdown will be the final score. So our first Sunday game is the Indianapolis Colts at the Minnesota Vikings.
Yeah, look, I'm going to pick the Vikings. I think they bounced back here against the Colts. I mean, works better for me if they lose, but I'm still going to pick them.
Yeah, I'm with you. Minnesota, I think that they, even though I think the Lions are a lot better than people think, you just think the Lions and think bad. I think the Lions are a pretty good team relative to their record. But yeah, Minnesota's playing at home. They're playing a really crap team in the Colts, so I'm gonna take Minnesota also.
Yeah, you are right. Detroit definitely are better than probably we still think. Like, you still have that hangover from years of them being really bad. But yeah.
Yeah, definitely. Especially at home. They play really well at home.
Yeah, absolutely.
So the next game here is Baltimore at Cleveland.
I'm gonna go Baltimore.
Yeah, I think the factor of last week's game is that the Steelers couldn't stop the run at all. Now, if Baltimore still have to run with that rookie QB, I think the Browns are a better team than the Steelers are as far as offensively, even though Deshaun Watson hasn't been playing that well, but their run game is a lot better than the Steelers. So I'm going to have to go out and say Cleveland probably picks up the win here. If Baltimore doesn't have Jackson or Huntley and they're running with their rookie QB starting, and they're playing on the road again in Cleveland, I'm going to take Cleveland, but it should be a pretty good game.
Yeah.
The next game is the Miami Dolphins at the Buffalo Bills.
Look, the Bills. I think it'll be a good game. Is Tua playing in the Dolphins?
You know what? I don't know if they typically announce those on Friday.
Yeah.
Let's see.
I think if he, yeah, I think to be honest, I think I'd remain with the Bills either way. But if he's playing, it's obviously going to be a lot closer.
Yeah, I mean Buffalo's kind of free. Excuse me, Miami's kind of free falling right now.
Yeah.
And it's like Buffalo's playing at home, and they're starting to hit their stride. I think from what it looks like Tua should play, but still they're playing a really good Bills team in Buffalo. Even though they're coming off of 2 losses and they would want to win, I feel like they're going to continue to slide. So I'm also going to take Buffalo. But hopefully that game turns into a shootout. That would be a lot of fun to watch.
Yeah, sure would be.
The next game is the Atlanta Falcons at the New Orleans Saints.
I'm going to go the Falcons.
Yeah, I just... this is one of those games against kind of bad teams that it's kind of like, well, you can kind of give it to either way. But, I mean, New Orleans still doesn't have a very good offense. I mean, not that Atlanta does, but I think right now Atlanta's probably the better team. So I'm going to take Atlanta in this one. The next Sunday game here is the Pittsburgh Steelers at the Carolina Panthers.
Look, I'm going to go with your Steelers. To be honest, I think they bounce back a little bit. Kind of feels like it'd be a nothing win if they get it, but stick with them.
You know, it was a very winnable game against Baltimore last week. If Mitch Trubisky didn't throw 3 red zone interceptions, it's a very different game. And also if the Ravens don't block a kick. Because it's technically 4 turnovers, essentially. And that's at least 12 points if it's all field goals. And you win that game if you have those 12 points. So I think if Pickett is still out and Trubisky plays, I think that he'll play a lot smarter. Because the Steelers, they were able to move the ball. They moved the ball down the field like 60, 70 yards, and then Mitch Trubisky would make a boneheaded move. So I still think that they'll move the ball. So I'm gonna go here and take Pittsburgh as well.
Yeah, and I think even Mitch Trubisky, he's not going to have back-to-back 3 interception games.
Let's hope.
At least not three red zone interception games.
Right.
Yeah, but that is definitely the Mitch that I know pretty well from his time with the Bears. I was disappointed to lose him from the division, to be honest.
So the next one here is the Philadelphia Eagles at the Chicago Bears.
It's got to be the Egos.
The Egos.
Yeah.
Is that what you call them in Australia? Egos.
Yeah, that is. They're the Egos. Yeah. we can't say the L over here.
Yeah, so I'm taking Philadelphia right now. I mean, Chicago's just not. I mean, Justin Fields has obviously shown that he is developing as a quarterback. From the beginning of the year when he was one of the worst, now he's playing really well. But still, Philadelphia is just the much better team. So,
yeah.
The next one is the Kansas City Chiefs at the Houston Texans.
Chiefs.
Yeah, there's not much you have to say. I mean, it's not that I dislike Houston or anything, but they're just still within their rebuild. Kansas City should come in there and stomp them pretty good.
They just that's exactly right. But they're just poles apart. Like the Chiefs are a really good team. The Texans just aren't. Like there's not really a game script that happens outside of Mahomes and all of the defense getting injured,
right?
The season going the other way,
right? I mean, Houston played Dallas pretty well last week, but it's that kind of game where it's sort of a rivalry game. It's both Texas teams. Houston wants to go out and beat Dallas, so it's one of those rare games where records doesn't matter, where both teams are sort of up for it. So, but I think
and I think that's the other factor is Houston would have expended heaps of energy on that because I mean, they've got nothing to play for this season, but if they can beat Dallas, their biggest rival, that would be something,
Right.
So they would have put a lot into that, you'd think.
Right. But yeah, Kansas City for sure. So the next one is the Dallas Cowboys at the Jacksonville Jaguars.
Cowboys for mine.
Yeah, they're just a really good team right now. I think like we said, keep saying, Jacksonville continues to rise. They're not the Jacksonville's old, just like Detroit, but still, it's just Dallas is a much better team right now. Even I will give it, Jacksonville is playing at home, but I'm gonna go still and pick Dallas there. So our next game is the aforementioned Detroit Lions against the New York Jets.
Yeah, I'm going to go the Lions. I think they're getting better and better. So I'm going to take them over the Jets.
Yeah, you know what? I'm going to stick with the Jets just because, Detroit plays really well at home. They're kind of a mediocre team on the road, but also, the Jets, their last few games, their losses have been really tough losses, like right at the end. They're in it, the whole time where they just lose to the Vikings and they're in it the whole game with the Bills. So the Jets are coming home. They're playing Detroit, a team that doesn't play great on the road. I think the Jets will bounce back and win this game, so I'm going to go with the Jets. So our next one is the Arizona Cardinals at the Denver Broncos.
Now, Murray's out, isn't he?
Yeah, he tore a ligament.
He's done ACL?
Yeah.
Yep. This is tough because I don't know what they're like without him, but I do know that the Broncos are bad. Yeah, I'm going to go with the Cardinals. So I just think the Broncos are just really bad, even without knowing what they're like without Murray.
Yeah, it would be a big laugh of the season that Denver can't beat a bad team in the Arizona Cardinals, even without even without Kyler Murray. They're even worse, and the Broncos somehow will put up 3 points and that's it. But I say that, but they played Kansas City pretty well last week. They actually scored. So Arizona, they're it's two teams in the same boat. They're both not playing for anything, but I think Russell Wilson wants to try to play to show that he's still got it and all that stuff. So I'm going to go with Denver in this one.
Mm-hmm.
So our next one is the New England Patriots at the Las Vegas Raiders.
I'm going to go to the Patriots.
The Patriots. I mean, Las Vegas. They lose to Baker Mayfield on a last-second touchdown, which is never good. But New England, they're good on the road or at home. They always show up, and Vegas isn't a bad team. They're not a good team. They're kind of stuck right in the middle. They when you do look at their records in like very close games, they lose them. Like they're always right there in games. But I think I'm gonna have to stick with New England in this one, like last week. The next game is the Tennessee Titans at the Los Angeles Chargers.
I'm going to go with the Chargers in this one.
Yeah, I think I'm going to have to go LA. I mean, Tennessee, they're just kind of playing uninspired right now. I mean, they don't really have any worry about not winning that division. It would be astounding if they don't win the division just because of, Indianapolis and Jacksonville. But, if Jacksonville wins this week and Los Angeles wins, which means Tennessee would lose, they're like right there within the division race. And Tennessee, they're just not clicking right now, So, and Los Angeles beat Miami last week, so I think they're going to roll with that. So yeah, LA. The next game is the Cincinnati Bengals at the Tampa Bay Buccaneers.
Yeah, I'm going to take the the Buccaneers, given they're at home.
Yeah, I think I'm gonna roll with Cincinnati. I mean, it's Tom Brady probably wants to come out and beat a good team after getting shellacked by the 49ers last week. But Cincinnati's just on a roll right now, so I'm gonna go out there and take Cincinnati. Our Sunday night game is the New York Jets at the Washington Commanders. Sorry, New York Giants. I can't remember if I said Jets or Giants.
I feel like we've done the Jets. Yeah, look, I'm going to take the Giants. I'm kind of doing a go against my instincts thing this week because I haven't been doing too well seeing I've now lost the lead. So,
the Giants haven't been playing super well, and ever since Washington put in Heineke, they've kind of been a new team, and Washington's now coming off the bye, getting the play at home. So I'm gonna stay with Washington in this one. Mm-hmm. And our last game of the week is the Los Angeles Rams at the Green Bay Packers on Monday Night Football.
Look, I'm going to take the Packers. I just I wouldn't be shocked if we lose the Rams after the season that they've had. Like, kind of feel like we're that team this year that the teams that are going really badly use us to bounce off. But like, I think being at home, I think some things have started to click. Like, Christian Watson has gone from looking like someone who might not make the cut next season to being given a bit of time is looking like a bit of a star in the making and is starting to get a bit of chemistry with Rodgers. And I think that, it probably feels like this is Rodgers' last season in Green Bay, if not the league. So I feel like he's going to start, if whatever he's got left is going to come out. So I'm going to pick us. I'm going to pick the Packers.
Yeah, I'm gonna stick with the Packers. I just think that they probably come out win this game. I mean, the Rams just aren't. Like you said, it wouldn't surprise me if the Rams win, but they're playing on the road in Green Bay. It probably will be kind of crappy up in Green Bay, like weather-wise. And now I will say Baker Mayfield will have another week under his belt in practice, but I think, like you said, Rodgers is clicking with Watson right now. So I think it should be a close game, but I'm going to take Green Bay. So those are our picks for Week 15 of the NFL season. So please let us know down in the comments what your picks are. And if you haven't yet, please consider liking and subscribing. But thank you for checking us out. I hope you have a nice day.